Good evening. Tonight we're going to be introducing the literary analysis task. This is the next type of writing we'll be doing in 6th grade. So the first question you might have is, what is the LAT, which is short for Literary Analysis Task? The LAT is the part question that compares two texts that you have read. How long is the LAT response? The LAT response is 4 paragraphs. What is the structure of the response? The LAT is an essay that contains an introductory paragraph, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion paragraph. So we're going to start this week learning how to create the 4 paragraphs, what goes in each one. We're going to actually begin with the 2 body paragraphs. Let's take a look at a sample LAT question. Earlier in the year, we read Lessons from a Quilt and All Hail King George. If you remember, Lessons from a Quilt was about the girl who went to the playground and realized that the playground was in disrepair, and then she wanted help to fix the playground because she knew she couldn't do it all on her own, but she was trying to originally follow her granny's advice. And then we also read All Hail King George, which was about the director George, who wasn't letting anybody help make decisions in the play. What are the themes of the passages, and how are the themes of the passages related? Determine how the events of the passages plots support and develop the themes. Support the themes using explicit text evidence. So the key word in this question is theme. We're going to be looking at the themes and how they are related. So it seems to me that the 2 stories were about working with others. In Lessons from a Quilt, she learned that she needed others to get a job done, and in All Hail King George, he learned that you needed to hear from others in order to make something work, or a good leader hears from others. So let's look at a sample essay answering this question. Here we have the introductory paragraph, and we're going to learn how to create this, but it begins like this. Theme is the kernel of truth that we extract from a literary work that remains with us for a lifetime. The themes of Lessons from a Quilt and All Hail King George deal with working with others. By analyzing the theme in these 2 passages, it will become evident that through working together, we can be successful. Let's pay attention to the first body paragraph, because that's where we are going to begin our lessons. So this is body paragraph number 1. The theme of Lessons from a Quilt is that you can accomplish more working with others than working alone. The text states, Julia's father said, well, you know what Granny always used to say about situations like this. Nobody's going to fix the problem for you if you don't try first, chorused Julia and her mother. This shows that throughout her life, Julia, the main character, was taught to take on a problem that she wanted solved. In this case, Julia wanted to fix a rundown playground that she remembered enjoying as a young girl. Later in the text it states, Granny called on all her friends for help. Together they assembled the top layer with a middle layer of soft cotton and a layer of fabric for the back. Then they all worked together to stitch the 3 layers in the beautiful patterns you can see. Granny made this quilt, but she didn't do it alone. This shows that because Julia was feeling very overwhelmed with taking on the problem of fixing the playground, her father tells her that Granny wasn't always able to solve problems on her own. She often called on friends for help. Finally, the text states, Julia thought over her father's words. She felt her determination to revive the playground returning. She could picture the neighborhood children at the park, watering the thirsty ground and pulling weeds while their parents repaired the equipment. With everyone helping, the playground would be completely fixed up by the end of the summer. This shows that Julia realized that she didn't have to solve the problem entirely on her own. With the help of others, Julia would be able to accomplish more. Thus, Julia learned that you can always accomplish more working with others than working alone. And then this is the second body paragraph. So we are going to connect the 2 here, and we are going to say, similar to the theme of Lessons from a Quilt, the theme of All Hail King George is in order to be a good leader, you must listen to other people's ideas. The text states, why doesn't anyone understand that this play is not a democracy, I yelled in frustration. It's your responsibility to do what I say because I'm the director. This shows that in the beginning of the story, George is not being reasonable and won't listen to what his friends are contributing. He thinks that his way is the only way. Additionally, the text states, whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to abolish it. The words on the page pointed a finger right at me. This shows that George is beginning to realize that his leadership is more destructive than good. At this moment, he begins to understand that listening to others could make him a stronger leader. Finally, the text states, well, I guess I did get a little carried away with the directing I admitted. People have to be able to make decisions for themselves and vote on making changes that matter to them, said Zandre. This shows that George realizes that he did something wrong. He now knew that to be an effective leader, he needed to be more careful with his decisions and listen to what others might think. Thus, George learned that to be a good leader, he must listen to other people's ideas. Okay, let's look at the conclusion paragraph. So you could see the themes of Lessons from a Quilt and All Hail King George both have to do with working with others. Through analysis of these two passages, we have learned that to be a good leader, you must listen to others' ideas, and that working together with others will allow you to achieve more than working alone. These lessons can remain with us for a lifetime and guide us as we make important decisions and work with others. Okay, here's the graphic organizer that you're familiar with that we're going to use to help us craft our body paragraphs. So every body paragraph is going to begin with a topic sentence, which is a restatement of the question. Then we need text evidence, which is a detail from the text. Then we need to explain that text in a sentence or two. Repeat with a second detail and an explain, a third detail and an explain, and then we're going to have our clincher. We call this the TDEC, topic sentence, detail, explain, clincher. So we're going to repeat this 3 times. Topic sentence, detail, explain, detail, explain, detail, explain, and then we're going to end with a clincher. So our first lesson is really how to craft a topic sentence. We should be pretty good at this, but let's just review. Who is your teacher? If that was the question asked, you would begin by restating the question. You would say, my teacher is. Remember, a restatement is taking the words from the question, maybe putting them in a different order so that you can answer. Then you answer the question. My teacher is Mrs. Sasso. So again, restate the question and answer it. Let's practice. What does Mrs. Sasso teach? How would you restate this question and answer it? Try it now aloud. Is this what you came up with? Mrs. Sasso teaches language arts. See how we restate the question, Mrs. Sasso teaches, and then we answer it. What is the name of this month? Try it out now. How would you answer that question? That's right. The name of this month is December. How many colors are in the rainbow? There are 7 colors in the rainbow. So, if we were given this question, which you'll be given tomorrow, analyze the events of Minding Minna and Not My Fault. What are the themes of the passages and how are the themes of the passages related? Determine how the events of the passage's plots support and develop the themes. Support the themes using explicit text evidence. Well, we know then that our topic sentences are going to have to do with theme. We always have to include the title of the work and the author of the work if we know it. So, our topic sentence is going to look something like this. The theme of Minding Minna is, and we're going to answer that. That is our topic sentence, and then we're going to provide our detail, our explanation of the details. We're going to do that 3 times, and then we're going to provide our clincher, which is a restatement of the theme. Remember, this is how we're going to craft our body paragraphs. So when we're doing the literary analysis task, we are going to, for the body paragraphs, talk about each text first. So in each of the body paragraphs, we talked about one text and then another. And then in our conclusion paragraph, we join them together, as well as we did in our introductory paragraph. So, again, we are going to look at Minding Minna tomorrow, and develop our first body paragraph. I hope you guys are ready. I think you're going to do great because we've been practicing this all year. See you tomorrow.